Are you gaslighting yourself? It's a question that's often asked but rarely answered. Because let's face it, no one wants to admit they're doing something wrong, especially when it comes to their own behavior. But the fact is, we've all done things we regret, and some of us have a lot more than others. And sometimes, when we do these things, we don't even realize we've done them at all. You might not even know it, but chances are you're doing it. Here's how to tell if you are gaslighting yourself and how to stop it. Number 8. Shame and guilt are your best friends. Shame and guilt are two of the most common emotions that fuel gaslighting. If you feel guilty about things like not being able to do everything or not being as good as other people, then it's likely that you've been gaslighted by yourself. Shame is similar to guilt, but it's more focused on how we perceive our actions instead of just how we feel about them. It can be harder for us to see shame in ourselves because it's so closely tied up with our sense of self-worth. If you find yourself feeling ashamed or guilty a lot, consider rethinking and sitting down with yourself, evaluating your perceptions. Number 7. You frequently second-guess your memory. When we're gaslit, we feel like our memories are unreliable or that we're crazy. We might feel like we imagine things that aren't true. This causes us to question ourselves and doubt our perceptions, which can seriously affect our mental health. For example, if you constantly second-guess yourself around your partner, it could make you less likely to stand up for yourself when they start treating you poorly or manipulating you into behaving differently than you want to behave. When this happens often enough, it can lead to depression or anxiety disorders. Number 6. You feel like you are too sensitive. Are you too sensitive? Do you find yourself getting upset by things that other people don't even notice? If so, you might be gaslighting yourself. You know, when you're so sensitive, it's like you can feel the energy of the world? That's a good thing. It means your heart is open and you're connected to yourself and others in ways that other people may not be. But if it feels like the world is too much for you, like everything is hurting your feelings or making you feel bad about yourself, that's not good. Try to overcome these thoughts and accept that not everything, every situation, and every matter should hurt your emotions. Number 5. You invalidate your judgments. It's important to realize that when you invalidate your judgments, you're not just hurting yourself, you're also hurting the people around you. When you invalidate your judgments, it means that you're taking away their right to feel whatever they want to feel, even if it's not what you think is logical or reasonable. And that's not fair. In the world we live in today, it's easy to feel like you're not good enough. You've got a boss who thinks your work isn't up to par, a friend who thinks you should be more outgoing, and maybe even a partner who says you're too clingy. And it's all too easy to start believing them. But what if I told you that those thoughts aren't really coming from those people? What if we told you they're coming from inside your own head? And what if we told you that by invalidating your judgments, you're actually gaslighting yourself? Number 4. You always think you should do more, be more. The next time you find yourself thinking something like, I should have done that earlier, or why didn't I say something? Stop and ask yourself if this is really true. Maybe you did do it earlier and forgot about it, or maybe there was nothing else to say at the moment. Allowing yourself to look at your actions with kindness and compassion will help you feel better about yourself and your choices. If you're telling yourself that you aren't good enough, you're trying to make yourself feel bad about yourself so that you'll work harder and try harder to live up to your own expectations. Number 3. You often assume the worst in situations. When you assume the worst in situations, it's usually because there's been some kind of trauma in your past that makes it hard for you to trust people. When you assume the worst in situations, it's not about anyone else. It's about how you feel about yourself. And if that's how someone feels about themselves, they're going to project those feelings onto others and eventually onto themselves as well. For example, when someone tells you they aren't going to be able to make it to your birthday party and you immediately decide that it's because they don't care about you, you're gaslighting yourself. Or if your friend calls you up and asks if she can borrow your brand new shoes for her date tonight because she forgot hers at home, but then shows up wearing them anyway, you're gaslighting yourself by thinking that she's been lying to you. Number 2, you don't consider yourself ill enough to call off from work. You can't just tell yourself how much time off is appropriate for being sick because there is no one-size-fits-all solution for everyone. If you're physically ill and need rest or medication, that's okay. You're allowed to take time out of your busy schedule for something like that. But when we start saying things like, "Oh, I'm not sick enough," or "I don't want people thinking I'm weak," or "What if they get mad at me?" we invalidate our own feelings and experiences in ways that hurt us more than they help us. Remember, it is your right to call off from work if you're not feeling 100% and not overwork yourself. Also, your employer needs to know that when you need time off for a mental health condition, it's not just about taking care of yourself, it's also about keeping a healthy mind that will work well. Number 1, you make excuses for others' behavior. So, you're in a situation where someone is being mean to you. Maybe they're your boss or maybe they're a friend. They say things that are hurtful and unfair, and it's all happening in public. And then you start to make excuses for them. You tell yourself that they aren't really being mean or that maybe they don't know what they're doing. Or maybe it's because of their childhood or whatever. You start to make excuses for them because if you don't make excuses for them, what does that say about you? It means you are actually gaslighting yourself. You need to recognize this behavior and try to break these habits by first recognizing them and then slowly avoiding them if you want to stop gaslighting yourself. Because we all know it's a form of hurting ourselves. Hope you learned something from the video. If you did, please hit the like button and share it with others to help them identify these habits and improve. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss any of our new uploads. In the end, thanks for watching, and see you next time.